Hello everyone, welcome to my Facebook Live on some trends that I predict are going to be happening in or going to be affecting the coaching industry. Now, I first want to be quite clear that I don't want to position myself as an expert on coaching, but I have been in the coaching industry for 20 years now, and so with everything that's going on in the world, there's certain patterns that I've identified, and certain things that I think are going to be with us for a long time to come. And I know that at the moment we are being really besieged by negativity in the media and on social media, and it's just coming at us from all sides. So I really don't want to add to this. My goal today is to maybe get you thinking a little bit differently about the future, and possibly to possibly to help you identify some opportunities and strategies that you can start, developing action plans around. Because I do believe that when we take action, it helps us to be more positive and maintain perspective about what is happening, what we're going through. So here are the three things that I predict are going to affect the coaching profession in the near future as a result of what we're going through now with the coronavirus. Firstly, more and more coaching is going to shift into the online space and take place virtually. And so this is going to have two impacts. Number one, it's going to necessitate a greater need for coaches to learn appropriate online netiquette or skills and behavior. And we're also going to have to learn how to support and coach our clients, because they will probably be working more and more in the online space and more remotely. Secondly, there's going to be, with the global economies shrinking and being affected by the coronavirus, there are going to be massive job losses. And one of the things that we have seen in the past is that when there are mass job losses, retrenchments, and recessions, people often, when they're looking for an alternative source of income or something to go into, now that they're no longer employed by a third party, people often say, well, I'll become a coach. So those of us who are already in the coaching profession are going to find that there will be more competition. And the third thing that I predict is that coaching fees are going to come under increasing pressure from a decreasing client base. So if we are aiming at the corporate market with fewer and fewer people in the job market, fewer and fewer people employed, we are in turn going to be coming up against greater competition, and we're going to be put under increasing pressure to deliver quantifiable results, and our clients are going to be demanding evidence of more value from us in the coaching that we deliver. So please let me know if you are watching live, or perhaps you're catching up on the replay, in the comments section below, and feel free to post any questions or comments that you might have. I will come back to them at the end of the video before I close off. So I may have made a few controversial statements, but I do welcome debate, and if you want to challenge me on anything that I said, this is merely my opinion, and open to a discussion and interpretation. Also, please don't forget to tag any friends in the comments below if you think that they would benefit from watching this video. So before I go any further, at the beginning of March, in my Facebook group, the Marketing and Sales Academy for Coaches, I ran a free 5-day training on how to magnify your marketing mojo. And I've compiled the training into a 5-day email training that you can receive delivered to your personal inbox. So if you would like to receive all of that training, click on the link in the intro to this video to sign up for it. I'll post it once this video has gone live. For those of you who don't know me and who I haven't met, my name is Megan Hudson, and I'm a business and marketing coach with almost 20 years experience in the coaching industry. And prior to that, 10 years experience in brand marketing and advertising, having worked for one of the largest top agencies in the world. So while I've been in the coaching industry, I've also spent 2 terms, totaling almost 8 years, working on marketing, member communication, social media, and online and the online presence for the largest professional coaching body in South Africa. And I also co-founded and co-published the only South African coaching magazine. I specialize in helping coaches like you find and define your niche, and I think I can see is Tessa on with us. It's lovely to see you there. So I specialize in helping coaches like you find and define your niche, and I believe that it's one of the single best ways of future-proofing your coaching practice. And in fact, I'm backed up here by the International Coach Federation and the Forbes Coaching Council, who've also said something along the same lines. So if you're interested in learning more about my work, you can visit my website on www.nicheintelligence.co.za. And I'm going to try and get through, there's a new word that's come onto the horizon in general, and that everybody's using. And as I have an aversion to catchphrases and new words, and it's the P word, pivots. So I'm only going to use it once, and let's see if I can get through the rest of this live video without using it again. So the reality is that many of us are using language like when we come out of lockdown, when we get back out there, when we go back to normal. And I think that this reflects very unrealistic expectations. Hi, Arthur and Tessa, just saying hello. I think that this reflects very, very unreal expectations on our part about what the future, and certainly the near future, is going to be like, because the coronavirus and the effects of the coronavirus are going to be with us for quite some time, and we will probably never go back to where we were before. But I'm probably also not telling you anything that you don't know. But it's the kind of language that we are using to define our future expectations. And I really do think that we need to get realistic and acknowledge, hi Riaz, acknowledge that we will never go back to where we were before, and that there are generations that are going to grow up hearing about when we were in global lockdown and before the coronavirus, just like a lot of us today have grown up hearing parents or grandparents speaking about during the war years, or before the war, or after the war. And furthermore, people like Bill Gates are predicting that this global pandemic is not going to be the first and last time that we will be facing something like this. And so we all actually need to be factoring in a pandemic like the coronavirus into our medium and long-term goals and planning for our business if we're really, really going to be smart. But the great uncertainty that we are facing right now is that we don't know what the future is going to hold. And this is, I think, causing so many of us to suffer from like an underlying low level of anxiety. I certainly am. I really and today I was quite emotional earlier on, just feeling this enormous uncertainty. But we know that our brains don't like uncertainty. Our brains always like to be able to make sense of things, and they like to be able to shape some kind of certainty out of what it is that we're experiencing. And actually, this is one of the reasons why neuromarketing tells us that it's so important to get clear on our messaging and to define our niche. But I'll get back to that later. So I said earlier that I think that we need to factor in something like this global pandemic happening within the next decade again. I've also read so many articles that have said that our near, immediate future is going to be characterized by rolling lockdowns. And so we've got to realign our businesses and practices to be able to withstand and come out of these kinds of circumstances in terms of where we shift to. So most importantly, I think we've all got to be more flexible and more open to doing things in new ways, and to let go of some of the stuff that as coaches we held on to. And one of them was around having to, be in person with our clients, and this whole kind of meta conversation that with or the non-verbal cues that we can pick up from our clients' body languages, and we're going to have to adapt and adjust to this new online world. I've spoken in previous trainings that I've done about having a growth mindset versus a fixed mindset, and certainly now more than ever as coaches we are going to have to model and embrace having a growth mindset, because business unusual has actually become our new normal, and is probably going to remain the norm. So let me get back to my 3 points. Firstly, that more and more coaching is going to take place virtually, and that it's going to necessitate a greater need for coaches to learn appropriate skills, behaviour, and etiquette. So we've actually been slapped by the universe, where it's giving us a wake-up call, and has told many of us who've been reluctant about getting into the online space that we actually have to embrace the fourth industrial revolution. Belinda says, I'm learning that non-verbal cues do not depend on being in the same room. It's so true. It really is. For years I have recorded my coaching sessions, and so that I can go back and listen, and there's, so that I can pick up stuff after the fact and add more value to my clients. And what I learned over the years was that having that recording to listen to versus having my handwritten notes just gave me a much better and more three-dimensional sense of tone, and what was going on in the conversation, and what and how my client was saying things. And it gave me a greater appreciation for not having my client directly in front of me, but still being able to go back to the conversation and refer, to how things were said. We can't rely anymore on, warm in-person, one-on-one, face-to-face encounters. And by the same token, when it transfers to our marketing, again, we are going to have to rely more heavily on our online presence, and this kind of, dimension of, or this greater removal from being face-to-face and in person with our potential clients. So we're going to have to embrace new skills, whether we like it or not, and we're going to have to get better at how we live in this new online and virtual world. And I work with so many coaches who are averse to using things like video to market themselves. And I asked in the training that I did, the training that I mentioned at the beginning of this video, the 5-day training, if you're averse to marketing yourself online using video, something like what I'm doing now. And just to stop for a minute and tell me how many times you've attended online Zoom meetings, and how many times you've been in online Zoom meetings. And if so, what is so fundamentally different between being in a Zoom meeting to actually creating videos to market yourselves, and doing live broadcasts like this on Facebook? So I do want you to just try and get your head around operating in this new space. And one of the things that I quite like about doing videos like this is that I'm in control of the agenda. Like, I set the agenda, so is what I want to talk about. And you guys add value through your comments as I go along. So remember that there are many, many ways of getting over your fear and antipathy towards things, marketing yourself in the online space. In fact, I was thinking just today that if you're not comfortable with something like video, would you consider recording a podcast, where it's just your voice? Do you have a nice talking voice? And can you tell stories nicely? So, there are many ways of skinning the cat and getting online in this virtual world in a way that we are comfortable with and that sits, authentically with us. But never forget that you always have to differentiate yourself in an increasingly crowded and noisy online space. And so you will need to have a brand that meets the sustainability criteria of getting attention, emotionally engaging with your existing and potential clients, and remaining top of mind with your existing and potential clients. And I'm going to talk about this in more depth just now. So I also think that coaches will increasingly be called upon to support our clients or coach our clients around self-awareness, emotional intelligence, and their impact and behavior in this new and alien online world. So just as we are struggling to adjust to how we show up, our clients are going to be going through similar problems and situations. So, raise your awareness around this. And, maybe you want to look at how you can offer support to your clients in this unfamiliar space. So, and again, spend time reflecting on. There's a lot of behavior that we can get away with in the in the real world, because we've got all of those different cues and the non-verbal communication that's going on, that we won't be able to get away with so easily now in the virtual world. And we need to be able to educate ourselves and equip our clients to deal with this shift, so that we can show up comfortably and authentically. So the second trend that I predict is that with massive job losses and, global economies kind of, not grinding to a halt, but shifting and downscaling, that there are going to be more and more people coming into an already crowded and over commoditized market. So it's more and more important that you have a very clear, very strong brand, number one, and that your messaging can get across strongly. You really do need to focus on on your communication and being able to be clear about your communication. And I remind you that the ICF and Forbes Coaching Council have said that one of the best ways of future-proofing your business is to be able to find and define your niche. So in the past, I was reading an article on Forbes Coaches Council published last year that said that year on year, the coaching industry has been growing at a rate of about 7%. And I think that it's going to be growing even faster as a result of the coronavirus and the fallout from it. We do need to be prepared for it. The other thing is that new entrants into the coaching market are going to have certain advantages. For example, they will have warm networks, very warm networks from former colleagues, from the former companies that they were working in, and people that they have built relationships with over a number of years, working one-on-one as colleagues, that they can then tap into as a potential client base. And you might even on occasion find yourself coming up against some of these new coaches when you go in and pitch for business. So right now, what you should be focusing on is maintaining your presence and your front of mind presence with your existing clients, and also establishing a very, very strong brand for potential new clients. Because You may very well be coming up against a former insider who knows the business intimately from an inside point of view, and you are going to need to be able to justify why you should be appointed as a coach as a relative outsider versus somebody who has an intimate knowledge of the business. So just again, be prepared and have have an answer ready, have a response in place so that you can start having the right conversations now and entrench your position as the coach of choice. And again, I think that you need to get clear on what your superpowers are. And I was chatting to a top coach just last week who was saying that, saying she'd identified what her real superpower is, and communicate what it is quite clearly so that, so that we can be associated with a particular position or associated with specializing in something in the market. So the third thing that I predict is that coaching fees are going to come under increasing pressure from a declining client base, because more and more people are going to be pushed out of the workforce, and it's going to require that as coaches we can deliver quantifiable results and greater value. We're going to have to prove this to our clients before they're going to choose to work with us. But also we see that in the medical profession with certain medical professionals. I know I've seen a lot of psychologists and therapists who have shifted into the online space. You see, I've managed to avoid using the P word. Hi, Rosemary. But medical professionals and therapists who have already shifted into the online space, the medical schemes are starting to challenge whether or not they have to pay the same fees for a consultation on behalf of medical aid clients for an online consultation versus a face-to-face in-person consultation. And I do think that might spill over into the coaching space as we move more and more online and delivering more and more coaching online. So again, be aware of that, be prepared, and be able to defend your value and your fees with your clients should you ever come up against that kind of an argument where people will ask you to perhaps drop your fees because your overheads and expenses aren't quite as high. Don't ever discount your experience and your expertise and your knowledge and the real value that you can bring to clients, whether you're seeing them in person or in the virtual space. It's really not your time to be shy or humble or self-effacing. And you need to be able to stand your ground about the work that you've done to date and the proven results that you deliver and the valuable relationships that you've built with all of the stakeholders with your clients, so that you want your clients to support you and have your back and help you defend your position on your fees. And again, capturing your niche in the market and building a bulletproof brand are two factors that are going to stand in your favor, and your gap to do that is now. This is where you can get ahead of the game. So I'm actually personally quite excited about the opportunities that we have got right now as coaches, as existing coaches in the industry. I think we've got this amazing opportunity to really establish and entrench our brands, our offering, the value that we have brought to our clients, what we have delivered, and to be able, now is the time when we can get ahead of the game and create effective systems around how we deliver our coaching. We're also given this amazing opportunity to try things out, to test and see what works and what doesn't work, so that we can go in to our clients with this added experience of having already operated in this virtual environment, and kind of, we've been there, we've walked down that path, we know how it works, and we can come in with this confidence and real experience on our shoulders. We've also been given this time to fill in our own skills gaps and to identify what we need to learn, what we need to become familiar with, again, so that we can operate with confidence in this new online and virtual environment. And it's now that we can make our mark and choose to identify where we want to make the most impact in this virtual space at comparative leisure to new entrants into the coaching market, who are going to have to hit the ground running and kind of, figure this all out as they go along. So I hope that this has given you something useful to think about. Let me just go back through the comments to see whether or not I've missed anything. So Belinda said earlier that she agrees that fees are going to come under pressure. And again, a comment from Belinda saying that nonverbal cues don't depend on being in the same room. And I just want to kind of say that we need to let go of some of the things that we have held so dear in the past as coaches, one of which is working one-on-one, face-to-face with our clients. And also always remember that as new as this may be for us, it's also as new for our clients, and they also are feeling their way in their new space. And our role is just to relax into being able to support and hold and create a sense of safety and certainty for our clients. So that's it for me for today. Thank you so much for joining me. I really, really appreciate your time and presence here. And always feel free to reach out to me if you have any questions, or if you want to discuss anything that I've said. And next week, I am going to be talking about an art that I think that we have all lost, that if we just focus on a little bit will help us or help make it easier for us to get new clients. So I hope that you'll be able to join me next week. That's Thursday at the same time, 5 p.m. South African Standard Time, or 4 p.m. Greenwich Mean Time. But in the meantime, stay safe and stay well. Thank you. Ciao, bye.